One thing that stands out to me when traveling is how people talk about their home. There's almost a cultural shift when asking in a Western country to anywhere else. In the United States, Europe, and places where Western influence is strong, there seems to be the instinct to list off all the negatives. Meanwhile, all over the world, specifically in places where people have very little, they love telling you about their home. How beautiful it is, the interesting places, the wildlife, local foods. But here, we grumble about politics, gripe about weather, or roll our eyes at tourist areas. That is why I loved chatting with Professor Prince Charles Perez.
Welcome to beautiful country. In this small country of 8,867 square miles, 69 miles wide, 174 miles long, there is not one country in this world that I know of where somebody from that country have not visited our country. Everybody wants a piece of Belize because there's peace in Belize. Better Belize.
Maybe we could start talking about our homes like him. Getting from Wisconsin to Belize can be a tricky task. Most airlines couldn't get me there the same day, except Delta flying through Atlanta. 2 short flights with a short layover? Perfect. My driver to and from the airport, Jose, was great, full of information and willing to chat about everything from the weather, national pride, and good restaurants. Most tourists don't stick around Belize City. Buses carry cruise passengers to Mayan ruins, water taxis take others to the Keys. I'll take you to the swing bridge. It's the oldest swing bridge in Central America and still operated manually, granted once a month. Even if the bridge itself might not impress, Hollover Creek out to the Gulf is a good view. The area is also pretty active with stores, restaurants, and bars. Not too far from there, you can find the Museum of Belize. The museum is housed in a former prison and still maintains a bit of the look as part of its installation on the site's history. When I visited, the main draw was the history of slavery in Belize, which detailed how people were transported, treated, and transformed culturally. Then much later, how they gained their freedom. Next was a room dedicated to the beautiful work from modern female Belizean artists. The second floor housed the Mayan artifacts, and sadly, at the time I visited, the jade room was emptied for renovations, which meant the Mayan skeleton and of course the jade was absent, but there was plenty to see otherwise. Coup de grace. What I never expected to see. The femur of a giant sloth. That thing was huge. Let's talk food. Top of my list for eating, as locals do, is Neary's 2. A bit of tight quarters, but it's good food at a good price. A little bit further away is the famous Lychee restaurant. The place goes by many names apparently, but you can find it on Google under Lychee. It features a walk-up window to order your Chinese or fried chicken. I ate the fried chicken with hot sauce on rice and it was excellent. Rounding up a few local choices is Irma's Fast Food near the Swing Bridge, with delicious Central American foods and stupendous prices. I would have shown you some food here, but I ate it so fast I forgot to take pictures to put in the video. For a more Western experience, travel past the casinos on Barrack Road to find Our Bar Restaurant. It's a wide open, breezy place for drinks and meals overlooking the Caribbean. Finally, since I was staying at the Radisson Fort George, I'll mention the places there. The St. George is the fancy place to eat. It's a great breakfast, most expensive. The Bayman's Tavern is a decently stocked bar with good food. This is where I developed my love for Marie Sharp's hot sauce. The Stone Grill is good for being poolside, serving drinks and food heated up with a hot stone. Le Petit Café is the affordable on-the-go choice. Get the local items, they will be tasty and filling. Around the Radisson, you can find the Baron Bliss Lighthouse, Memorial Park honoring fallen soldiers in World War I. There are also places that just open for cruise ships in this area as well. In order to adventure, you need to leave the city, and that takes you through their massive cemetery. But once outside the city, it opens up on the Western Highway, which takes you past Belmopan to San Ignacio to the Guatemalan border. I used this opportunity to travel to the Mayan ruins of Xunantunich, which includes a hand-cranked ferry across the Mopan River. Even though the Museum of Belize was lacking a Mayan skeleton, Xunantunich had me covered. And I mean, look at that. El Castillo is the largest Mayan temple I have seen in person yet. Granted, I've only been to Tulum before this, so it's not that huge of an accomplishment. I get it. Our guide Mario was outstanding. He was able to give us the historical information and the current day information to fill us in on Mayan Belize and modern Belize. If you have the opportunity to work with him, You will not be disappointed. The top lookout of El Castillo is 130 feet high and looks out over the site on one side. And on the other, you can look out over Belize and Guatemala, since the border is less than a mile away. This place had me pumped. Having history all around you that has survived for so long is just amazing. Plus, being able to walk through and on the ruins just connects you even more to the site, giving you almost an idea of the views that the Mayans had in the same spot. I mean, come on, just look how excited I am. I could have spent much longer at Xunantunich, but we would have definitely run out of water. The heat and humidity was crazy. Sandals melted and shirts were drenched, but it was worth it. Highly recommended. The part of the trip I didn't think I would care for was the cave tubing. On top of that, I had some food for lunch that made me question my intestines' intentions. I wondered if I would have to dash into the jungle for a personal emergency. But that was unnecessary, and I had a great time. We walked into the jungle about a half hour before getting to enjoy the trip back in the water. And the water was amazing for cooling down. Israel, our tubing guide, was hilarious and had a lot of great knowledge. He really helped make this part of the trip as fun as it could be. I can't show much of what was going on in the cave since my GoPro could only capture so much with headlamps lighting the way. After the cave was a nice, calm float through the jungle. And at one point, I hopped out of the tube so I could just swim. And it was great. Now, one thing you still need to do before leaving Belize: find this man.
Welcome to beautiful country. Prince Charles Perez is my name. Local historical guide. Belize it or not, any question in Belize anybody asks, I can answer. I'm trying to enlighten, educate, and entertain you with Belize and historical royal degree. Use my favorite phrase or word, I'm not sure, or practice it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
You better believe it. Professor Prince Charles Perez.
Find him to be entertained and enlightened. And And with that, I was heading back to the airport, getting a Belican t-shirt to commemorate the trip, and head back home. I had only gotten a taste of Belize on this work trip, but it's a taste that makes me want to return. As my flight heads north along the Yucatan, I think of the Belizeans I met and how they described their home, and I ponder my original question. How does what I say about my home compare to how others describe theirs? Maybe I should do it like Prince Charles Perez.
It was unbelievable.
Thanks for watching this episode on Belize. There are a few more things I'd like to share about the trip, and we'll make a short extras video to cover them. But in the meantime, like and subscribe and comment and all that junk that I gotta promote on YouTube.